And today we're going to do a little bit different stream. We have the main topic today is we're going to build a PC of hers called Amber Frostbeard. She is a level 3 life cleric from Adbar, and what we're going to do is bring a little life to her. Lady Shell has already done a lot of the work, but I think we might do some of her build while we're working on it. And we're going to work on her backstory. She has a pony named Honey, and it's actually a war pony. And also, we have a contest coming up. Lady Shell will put the link in our chat. That's going on today till 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, I believe. And once that contest is over, the winner will win a ultimate license. That's right, a big, expensive ultimate license that everyone complains it's so much money. Well, here's a way that you can win it for free. And when you win it, you will get the ultimate license, and all you'll have to do is join our Discord channel. So if Lady Shell has our website and our Discord, that will be a way that you can follow us and come to our community and learn how to use Fantasy Grounds, and also to get a hold of us to help speed up or to expedite winning your prize. So if you want to get your prize tomorrow, join us. Look out myself or look for Lady Shell. Give us a private message. Give us your Fantasy Grounds official forums ID, because we need your not your we don't need your email address. We need your forums name, and then we can gift you that lovely prize. This is from FGC, also from Lady Shell's own pocket. So if you guys want to um, join us in this build, ask questions, maybe even help us make a few decisions, that would be great. Most of the steering, though, is going to come from Lady Shell because this is her character, but we don't mind a little input every now and then. We got graphics, backstory, all the books that we're going to use. I'm going to show you how to import characters if we need to. We're going to show you how to make tokens, the whole 9 yards. So sit back and watch, ask some questions, talk to Lady Shell in the chat, or you can ask questions in our Fantasy Grounds College Discord later. Anyhow, I want to introduce you to Lady Shell. She is in the chat, and she is now with me in live voice.
Hello, everyone. I am indeed in the chat room, and I'm going to post the link to the contest if you haven't seen it yet. It's going to be in the chat here. So if you haven't entered, go on and enter. There's several ways to enter. Click on the app in the post that I give you. This is a blog post, and it will take you to where you can enter with there's different methods of entering. And if you've entered one of our contests previously, you can use the method that allows you to get 3 additional entries into the contest. And again, the contest will end tonight at 11:59 p.m. PST.
All right, thanks, Shell. So today we're going to build a character that Lady Shell has visualized, and she's done most of the work already. But we are going to go over some of these things that this character has, and we're going to talk to Lady Shell about how she feels about this character and how the character is actually kind of an extension of your own self. Now, it doesn't mean every little aspect of the character. It just means that there's a little part of it in there that belongs to you when you create a character. So when you do build a character, hopefully you have some sort of connection to it, because potentially if you're going to play this character, especially if it's more than one session, you're going to get bored or you're not going to be satisfied potentially with the outcome of how this character interacts with the world that they're going to play in and the other players. So it's important to have a little bit of a connection to the character you're playing. So we're going to talk about those sort of things. Also, I'm hoping that we will get to the point where I can show you some technical things, and then we can also answer questions and finish this character up today because we need it for an upcoming campaign. So, without further ado, I want to talk to Lady Shell and find out how we're going to proceed. This is her character, so I'm just going to do what she says. So, Lady Shell, what would you like to do first? We have.
Are we rolling it from scratch, or are you just going to use what I've got previously got?
I think I want to use what you previously have, but I also want to show how to do it. So maybe we should just rebuild the character, but I do want to show how to import the character too.
Sure, that works.
Okay, so I'll start off with importing and also building. And then after we get the character further along, I would like to step out of Fantasy Grounds a little bit and work with some of the token making programs and show them a little bit of publisher, like how we came up with the concept, all that good stuff. So rather than building from scratch, how far did you get on Amber? Let's take a look at that.
I actually completed the actions. I did not. The only thing that I believe is missing from the XML that I sent to you is the backstory.
Okay, that works. So even if we do build just the backstory and such, that's fine. But we can also show you how and what all the things mean on our character sheet. So that would actually be very helpful. We've done several videos where we built one from scratch, but we haven't done too many videos that explains what we already have. I think that would be very useful.
Maybe you could open up my sheet and then open up a blank sheet, and then they can be compared.
Yeah, that would work. So first things first, when you already have a character that's developed or it's set up already, and you're the DM or the host or the game master, depending on what rule set you're in, you want to click on characters. Now in my library, I already have a bunch of rule books and maps and such set up, but if you don't have a lot of these books, you can still import character if you have a license, but it may not parse correctly. And what that means is if you want to look something up on the character sheet, it'll nag at you in the chat window. It'll say you need to have this source book open. So you can still look at the characters, but any descriptions on that character itself from the little links will give you a little nag, and I'll show you what I'm talking about shortly. So right now I have the character selection window. As you can see, I got 1,000 different characters from different people building characters at this table because this is my character building table, and this is also the same table I use for teaching character creation 101. So on the bottom right, there is an arrow and it says import character. So I'm going to click on that, and you get the import character dialog window. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and click the up arrow again. And what this does is it navigates to my computer. You should be able to see that I put a little display window on the left-hand side of the Twitch there, so you should be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm in my computer, but I have an overlay of it, so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So are you able to see what I'm doing, Lady Shell?
Yeah, you have a big screen on the right and then a smaller screen
Yep.
on the left where I can see your open. Oh, wait, is that a screenshot of your drive? Because I
Nope,
thought that OBS
that's
did
live.
not show your drive when
It's
you open
live.
your
That's
drive.
actually a what do you call it? A screen capture. That's not a application
Oh,
window.
okay. That's what I said. I
Hmm.
said, is that a thing?
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
So it doesn't break your focus, right?
Right. So here's Amber. Amber Silver Marshes.
Frostbeard. Oh,
Frostbeard.
that's what it's called. Yeah.
Well, Silver Marches with a CH, but that's fine.
Did I type it wrong?
Yeah, that's very
Apparently.
common. That happens a lot.
Oh, and yay me. I just subscribed at tier 1
All
for
right.
6 months. Yay. If anyone else wants to subscribe or follow us, the option to do so is in the upper right-hand corner of the screen.
Yep. So now that I've imported, I am going to hit the back arrow, and now it takes me to the window where all the character selections are. So since I have so many, I'm not going to go through all this, but actually Amber's right here because her name starts with an A. But if you had Ezekiel or something in the middle of the alphabet, you would probably use a search window here. So if I type Amber and hit enter, it narrows it down. There she is. And there's the character sheet. So as you can tell, she's already worked really hard on this character, and she has all of her stats in. And we're going to explain all this stuff and what it means and what it does. And also, as we do that, we're going to make tokens and show you how to do things instead of just telling you. So first things first, Amber Frostbeard of Citadel Adbar. So what is your idea or concept of this character as far as the setting? Because I know we're playing in the Forgotten Realms, and you have your starting location, which is Citadel Adbar. But what is your concept, and how do you feel about this character? Like, what's the feeling you get about her?
Well, I'm always fond of my dwarven hill dwarves, and always fun about being a cleric. Cleric is kind of my jam, so I'm looking forward to this. It looks like it's going to be a fun campaign. I'm trying. Hang on, I need to open up my backstory so I can give a little backstory information. No, I just changed my push to talk because it was left arrow and it kept messing up when I was trying to read text. Okay, yeah, she hails from Citadel Adbar. She's born in a family with an older brother and a younger sister. Her brother was killed fighting in the Orc Wars, the battle that you just mentioned. Um, and when he died, he had left her his chainmail and his +1 warhammer, which you will see in her inventory. Her younger sister is also a cleric, and I do worship Baroner Truesilver, who is Moradin's wife, and she is a healing goddess. I mean, that's like her domain or whatever. And her sister's studying at home in Citadel Adbar, sorry, at the temple. So she is gonna kind of follow in Amber's footsteps. So Amber wants to give a good example. Amber has, um, when she was growing up, she had heard about the Order of the Gauntlet, which is a faction where they fight against evil. It's not specific people. You don't have to be a specific type of character, but you do have to be lawful good. She applied for membership and she was accepted, and she took on the job of being a messenger, traveling to different cities, and she was an emissary, which I believe that I'm going to be an emissary in our game coming up here. And so that's a little of where she came from and what she's planning on doing.
Cool. So she's going to be like a messenger type character. Sometimes she has to do emissary or diplomacy work, but her main thing is to be a messenger between different kingdoms of dwarves. So with that, she's been given the Messengers Guild rights, in which when she visits a city such as Sundabar, Adbar, Silvery Moon, even some of the towns along the way, it is a recognized service, almost like the mail service. And she's given the rights of a cheaper boarding for her war pony. She has an armored pony so that she can travel a little bit quicker. And being that she knows the roads fairly well and that she's been back and forth, her travel times are cut down as one of her features. So if I go to a background story, which she doesn't have exactly, but we borrowed some of the ideas from it. So if she has the emissary background or the diplomat or one of those sort of things, one of their features is to cut down on their travel time. But it didn't make sense because she was a dwarf. She doesn't move as fast as a normal person does. So we went ahead and give her the faction that she's with now, but she still kind of has some of the residual um, honors from being a messenger. So she doesn't travel as fast as a true emissary or diplomat would, because they usually have a faster horse and they have more help. But she does travel fast for a dwarf. So her size and her stride does not affect her movement. So she can move just as fast as anybody else could. She's also welcome at any waypoints or checkpoints or any sort of city gates. So they don't, if she flashes her symbol or her credentials, they will immediately let her in, unless there's a crisis like a disease or something. Then they would warn her. But her pony gets to be put up for a cheaper amount. So when she's boarding, which means you're going to put your horse up for a while, the boarding doesn't cost her as much. It might be at a discount, and in larger cities, it's free. So if she goes to a small village, they're going to charge her, pennies to the dollar because they got to make some kind of money. And plus, her pony isn't as big as a large horse. The only thing that's a real pain on her pony is its barding because it has armor. So that would be the only added expense or perhaps time to take care of the horse. because all that has to be removed, and the person doing it has to know what they're doing. So they have to get somebody that has a little bit of experience with that, because the rider can be killed if the saddle and the armor are not put on correctly, and also the horse could die. So you don't want that. And if it has unnecessary chafing, the horse can get an infection. There's all kinds of things that can happen and go wrong. So when you have your horse put into a boarding situation, like a stable, you want to make sure that it's going to have good care. And I think that's something that's left out of most role playing games. They don't really think about the mounts too much. I wouldn't make that big of a deal about it, but I do think about that in the back of my head. Like, what's going to happen to this horse if you leave it there for a week? So it's just something, if you're a game master or player, just kind of keep that in the back of your head. Really doesn't usually matter, but I've had scenarios where I had the stable hand, or the stables where your horse is kept. I've had those raided by creatures, and you lose your horse because you were neglecting it, and you didn't say anything about it, and you didn't bring it up, and you didn't care about it, or nothing came up in weeks and weeks of role playing. So I just said, when you go back to go get your horse, it's no longer there. And they're like, what? And then so they get upset about it. And then I explain that the stable hand had trouble, and the place was raided, so the horses got free, and that's what happened. So I do, if you're going to use a mount in the games that I run, I do care about their care. And some DMs don't worry about it. I actually put a little bit of thought into it. I don't have a bunch of rules for it. I just think that if you're going to have an animal, you want to take care of it and make it a part of your life, basically, as a character. So, how do you feel about your horse, Honey? This is a pony, and it was awarded to you for your service to the kingdoms of the dwarves. And it is a pretty sturdy pony. It's no joke, and it's been trained for battle, and it's been fitted for battle. So normally it would have like an AC of 10, but with the barding and armor that it has on it, it has an armor class of 13. Now, if it was any higher, it would slow the horse down. So that's probably the maximum you can have for that size of horse without slowing it down.
Well, it's good to know that you have rules for the pony, because I'm gonna definitely take good care of my pony. I don't need my pony dying. I love my honey pony.
Yeah, so even if you just say, "Hey, I'm in my downtime, I'm gonna go visit my horse and brush it out and talk to the stable hand," something like that. That just tells me that you are attentive to the world around you, that you're taking care of business, you're not just spending money listlessly in the bars. It means that you're immersed in the setting, and that's what I'm looking for. It's not so much a punishment like, "Oh, you didn't take care of
Right,
your horse." It's more of a reminder saying, "Hey, there's other things going on that you need to consider when you're playing in a game." So that's one thing that
right.
we've done to kind of add a little bit of realism, but also just add a little bit of role play and immersion.
Also, I wanted to mention to people in chat that Amber has a she can what is it? It's the proficiency in the tools, and she was offered the tool of either the which one was it? Anyway, I took the brewing one, so I can brew my own stuff. And Amber will be brewing some ale on our journey. So
Oh, cool.
I don't think I'm gonna be spending that much time in bars, because I can do my own making of liquor.
Yeah. So we need to add that to her sheet. We have the dice gaming set, and these are
Didn't
runic.
I add it? I
I
thought I
think you
had it.
intended to. That's
Oh,
okay. We
I
can do it live on the
yeah.
skills. So in her inventory, she has, let's see, she has the brewer's supplies. So we're going to add a skill that's tied in with that. And the brewer supplies helps make that happen. So if you don't have the supplies, you cannot really perform skill checks or anything like that unless you had some other way or method of doing it. maybe you had access to a laboratory or whatever it is that you need for tools. So I'm going to add a skill. Now this would be a downtime thing more than likely. So she has this gaming set. So these are runic dwarven dice. If she wanted to gamble a little bit or pass time, she could do that, and I can even set up roles and challenges so that the people playing could set up to where they can win gold, or maybe they bet on a magic item, or who knows. I don't know if I'd let the stakes get that high, but another thing that I am going to do, which I normally don't do, is animal handling. Um, I think that anyone who has a horse or a mount should have animal handling. So I am going to give her a half proficiency just out of the kindness of my heart for the animal handling skill. So she had a fairly good chance because it's based on wisdom, but she really doesn't have any special training or anything that indicates that that's her jam. So the animal handling, I'm just going to give her a half
I have a
proficiency.
question.
Sure.
Now I haven't played in too many long-term campaigns, so I'm just wondering, as far as the animal handling being at half proficiency, in months' time, or I mean, I don't know how
Years.
long, but
Yeah.
well, are we going to play for years? Hopefully we
No, I
will.
mean in game time.
Yeah, game time. I was wondering if the animal handling would ever go above the half into a full, you know, increase.
Maybe it depends on what happens in the game. I don't normally jack around with the skills. I usually leave them. But being that you've done this for a long time with your skills, I think a half proficiency is fair enough. Normally, any character is not going to get a half proficiency. So I'm already bending the rules as it is. So leaving it at a half is fair enough. I think that reflects your care and your what training you have and your life experiences with that animal. And in this case, the animal handling really only pertains to that pony. So if you were to take that animal handling skill and try to handle someone else's horse or another animal entirely, it's not going to really work. So I'm going to put a note there. We'll know that in game. The animal handling just for the pony.
Yeah, my question wasn't based on what I want it to be now. I was just wondering if after, years in of in the game or whatever, if that ever would change
You
as
know,
I continue to use it. That's all.
yeah, as a GM, I might allow that. Like if you were a ranger or a druid or somebody of nature, yeah, I definitely would allow it. I don't think you have enough time or the training to become a full animal handling agent. And really, there's really no rules for or against doing that. So just out of sheer admiration for animal handling, I'm going to give you a half a star, which normally only bards get that. So this is going to give you the ability to help control this particular animal. So that animal handling skill is not going to apply to any other creatures. So what I could
So
do,
if I met animals along the way, that I wouldn't have any advantage on
correct,
any rolls.
correct.
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
what I'm going to
I would
do
think it. Go ahead.
is I'm going to make an entry for it. So I will leave the regular animal handling the way it is.
Okay.
I'm going to put a half proficiency for the pony, and then I'm going to put your
Okay.
brewer's supplies
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
we got to add that. The other thing that I wanted to mention was now in regards to the same type of question that I asked about the animal handling, you said that I wouldn't be using it that often, so I understand that. What about somebody like the ranger? Would they get survival skill? Would that increase? Oh, they already have a full one. But
Hmm.
does it ever go up, like if
No,
you've been playing? Oh,
no.
okay.
That's
Like I said, I haven't been in a long-term game for a long time in a long-term game.
the only time it really goes up, if you want to look at it that way, is when your proficiency bonus goes up. So if your proficiency goes up overall, all of your skills will go up.
That's cool. Okay.
So that's
So I
how
think
they would
that's level
increase.
5. Is that level 5 that it goes up? I think, or level 4.
Probably level 4, but whatever level I think it's level 5 actually. So whatever level it is, it's at +2 right now. It'll go to +3. So that'll add another 1 to everything. So it isn't just apply to one skill. There are older rule sets and different rule systems that allow you to improve your skills over time. But in this case, for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, it doesn't allow for that. There's no real rules for it. The only way that they can reflect that is through your overall proficiency bonus, which means you're going up overall in everything.
Right.
So that's
Yeah,
kind
I
of how
just
that
thought I'd
goes.
bring up this question just in case anyone else has not been in a long-term game, so they might wonder too. Got a dumb question? Ask me and I'll ask it for you. I'll take the
Yeah,
dumb
it's not
part
dumb
on
actually.
me.
It's actually not dumb. I always wondered that myself, why you can't improve your skills. Well, technically you kind of can because at 4th level, when you increase your stats, if you choose to do that, you'll also get the opportunity to boost up your whatever stats you have. And if wisdom in this case happens to be that, that also increases your overall.
Yeah, that's good to know. And back to the brewing thing, I remember that you told me that where we're going to be traveling there, I'm going to be passing, or was it Silvery Moon that had brewing stuff? You had mentioned something about there was places where you could get brewing supplies and
Yep.
stuff because we had talked about me carrying stuff around because I'm a dwarf and I think my strength is 13, so I can wear my I can wear my chainmail, but I'm not super strong.
Well,
So
if you were to
yeah.
buy supplies like that, you would definitely be probably having a wagon or some saddlebags. And anything that you would need, like a barrel of hops, you could probably gain those from one of the settlements around or in Silvery Moon. So if you were going
That's good to know.
to have, anything that goes with that particular skill, and so that comes from her tool proficiency for being a dwarf. So if you're a dwarf, you gain artisan's tool of your choice: smithing, brewing, or masons. So you want to work with steel, you want to work with stone, or you want to work with hops and grapes and stuff. So a vintner would be kind of along the lines of a brewer. So if you made wines and such, you could probably still use brewer supplies. In this case, the brewer supplies probably are not too heavy. So let's take a look at the inventory. Yeah, they're nine
Wouldn't it
pounds,
go
so they're
on the
pretty
saddle?
heavy.
Ooh, it would go on the horse then. I
You
mean the
could,
pony.
you could. So if you don't want to lug this big kid around with 9 pounds, so it
And also,
says,
I'm thinking when you mentioned Vinter, I'm thinking that it would be more feasible that you would make maybe like an ale or something while you were traveling and stuff. Vinter seems like more like you would be in a settlement because
mm-hmm.
I mean you've got to have vines, right? You got to
Yeah, and
have the grapes and stuff to make it.
you also have to have a place to age the stuff.
Oh, that's true. You're not going to age it in your
No,
backpack or something.
no. So anytime you even brewing beer, you have to have a place to do it. So the special tools that are included in the brewer supplies are what's needed to pursue or craft or trade. So the table shows examples of the most common types of tools, each providing items related to a single craft. Proficiency with the set of artisan tools lets you add your proficiency bonus to any ability checks you make using the tools in your craft. Each type of artisan's tools requires a separate proficiency. So in this case, yours is based off wisdom, which is a handed down tradition of brewing. So you probably know a few recipes that come from your specific region, and you might have one of your own. And you will take those recipes and any ingredients, special ingredients other than the hops themselves, and the tools, and you would set up shop and you would show how this thing is brewed. You would have a barrel or two stored somewhere, and you would tap those, and you would go to a convention like a beer brew fest and let people taste it, and then you would get them to sign up to have barrels delivered to their settlement. And that would be one way to apply your craft, your salesmanship, your recipe building, all that stuff could be incorporated in a campaign, but that's if you have the time for it. If you don't have enough downtime, you can't really do it. So
That makes
that's
sense.
so this is kind of an auxiliary thing that gets left out quite a bit in character creation is these supplies and tools. If your DM can't accommodate that, then it's almost pointless to roll for them. But occasionally you might want to make an assessment of maybe a wine or some kind of ale. So rather than just rolling a perception check, I might allow the player to roll from the brewer's supplies, like if it had to do with ale or something like that. I might let them use that instead. So perception is based on wisdom as well. So this would be a taste slash experience thing. So I might just say, you know what, use your brewer supplies, even though you're not actually using the tools. You're using the knowledge of that specific craft. So that is a way to,
Similar to a history check, but it
correct.
is in reference to your brewing skill.
Yeah, your history of it. And normally wisdom is gained over time. So that makes more sense. History would be the knowledge of it, but the brewer supply part or the perception of it would be what hops are used or where the hops were grown. You have an idea of what some of the ingredients are, and you also might even know who made it or where it comes from. So those are different things that can happen during the game. So anyhow, um, there has been plots where big batches of brews have been poisoned. There's been plots where people want the secret recipe and they'll kill for it. So there's all kinds of things that you can do as a game master and a player if you let it happen or if you think about it. So this is part of your heritage. It's not just, oh, I got these tools. No, I'm not going to lug around 10 pounds worth of brewer supplies if I'm never going to use them. So just remember that the supplies allow you to craft and use your skills to make your own things, but they also could potentially give you some skill in obtaining the ingredients, making negotiations, selling, buying, anything to do with that particular craft. So in this case, brewer supplies, I believe, would have to do with brewing ale in this case. It could also be brewing potions, who knows? But usually potions falls under alchemy. So maybe it wouldn't be potions, but maybe natural remedies or something that has less alchemical properties and more natural properties. So in this
Maybe that
case,
would go more into medicine.
yeah, that could be. So you can combine both of those to know that if you drink a certain ale or a mead, which is kind of like a beer wine combination, yeah, maybe you can brew it to where people feel better. So maybe they gain 1d4 hit points after they drink it or something like that. Who knows? But I would think it'd be
Also,
minor, not something major.
right, right. It's not something you're going to do all the time. What I wanted to point out was what we're doing here for people that are brand new DMs or something. This would be considered like similar to your session 0.
Yeah, that's true. This would be like a session 0, but it also kind of explains and talks about, what sort of things are on your character sheet, what can be done, things that are commonly left out of games. Like some people just don't care, right? They just want to play and hack things. But if you want a living world, you kind of need to discover and know what's around you itself. And that's what we're doing. So let's go back to the first page here. So Amber Frostbeard of Citadel Adbar, she is a 3rd level cleric, and We leveled her up by grabbing this little shield and dropping it back in here. So she should have 900 experience at that level, according to the rules in 5th edition. Her next level would be 2700. Now, the only reason we don't really have the choice of automating that level up process mainly is because they don't know how your DM is going to allow you to level. So, this is a guideline. This isn't an actual rule. Some game masters say, okay, after so many adventures, you can level up. They don't care about the points. So, that is
So I
called.
have a question.
Go ahead.
My question regarding leveling and stuff, the other type of, well, I don't know if there may be many types of ways to level up your character, but the other one would be milestones. And I didn't
Hmm.
ask you, are we using experience points or milestones in your game?
I use a little of both. I'm less focused on experience points. Those kind of give me, that's only like maybe a third of what's required to level. The other
Okay,
third
because you're
is
going to get stuff from role play too, correct?
right. So the way I look at it is experience points are for, you know, for combat and for quest items, which are kind of like role playing. So those alone gives me an idea of, you know, when it's time to level. But I look at the third piece of it, other than the role playing and then the, or at least the points for fighting. I'm also looking at participation and how much you help others and myself. So if you're helpful to me and the table, you're probably going to have a better chance to level. That's all there is to it. So participation to me is very important. So if you just show up every week and you don't say anything and you're just going to be a stick in the mud, then, I'm not going to give you all that extra attention. I'm not going to make all this fancy pony stuff. If you're helping me and helping the table and helping keeping the group together, yes, I'm going to favor you. I'm sorry, but I'm going to give you preferential treatment. That's all there is to it. If you're going to be somebody that wants to just kill and fight, well, that's all the attention I'm going to give you is you're going to just kill and fight. So if you want to get out of that rut, try to put yourself out there a little bit more. Try to be a little bit more helpful as a player. Um, Try to work with the people you have, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for somebody that's having fun, that wants to participate, that comes to the table every week or every month, whatever the frequency is, and that somebody who really wants to help build a story. So I'm not looking for the guy that kills all the monsters. That's not the guy I want. That's the guy that you only want occasionally. So if you are a person who likes to fight all the time and you don't care about treasure and experience points and all those things and you just want to kick butt, well there's times for that. There are times when we appreciate a barbarian going crazy and ripping everybody in half. There is a time for that. But if that's all you do all the time, then you're not going to have a very good experience, at least not at my table.
Okay, can you explain for people? I mean, nobody has asked us in chat. I'm just trying to come up with some questions. Hopefully someone is interested in this. I would like to know how you as a DM not reveal, but how you use your downtime role playing, because I know we're going to have a special area. I want to
Hmm.
know how you deal with that. I mean, everybody I'm sure has different ways of dealing with their downtime and how the players will be able to do this, but I want
Hmm.
your thoughts on this.
Okay. So normally what I do is since we have technology now, I'll use Discord and then I'll portion it off to different individuals or teams. So in this case, in this particular campaign, I am using teams to do a couple things. One is if there are points of dialogue or knowledge that should not be known unless it's role played out, then that stays within that team or that individual. The other way is if you're going to do downtime activities, you're going to roll in said channels or sections of Discord, and only you or your partners or whatever, or even private message, you're going to know what the results are and what the outcome is. So I might have you roll a series of checks, either in the Discord or in Fantasy Grounds in private. You can roll, and I will take note of that, and then I could create a story or the result or the outcome based on what you've done during that downtime. So generally, it's a series of skill checks, but it's also a little bit about how it's initiated and how it's carried out, and having the availability and the time for it too. I hope that answers your question.
That does answer my question. Thank you.
Yep. Another thing is I encourage role play amongst the players even when we're not playing. So it's kind of like a play by post. It's interaction between the characters. What I'm trying to do also, besides have these little areas that they can speak and do their private roles and such, is also a way to get them to know each other. So I take people and I pair them up, and it kind of forms like teams, and there's a reason they're together and how they met. And then as they get to learn about all the other people, I can start breaking those teams into one team instead of three separate teams. So I have 6 players, and each one of those is broken up into 3 teams. So then once I get that established, and once that happens, then I can spread the teams apart and maybe make 2 teams. And then as time goes on, they're all going to be one team. So they won't have the individual teams anymore. It will just be one team. And then if anyone needs anything private or secret, they can just PM me. So it isn't just about, throwing 6 people together and they're all just one team. I usually try to work it to where they slowly kind of come together. That makes more sense. It's more organic. It's not forced. You have personalities of people that don't get along. There's all kinds of reasons for it. But as long as the team works together during the adventure, that's what matters. Outside of the adventure is another story. In their downtime, and they can do whatever they wish as far as dialogue goes, as long as they're not advancing the story. So if the players are role playing, I don't mind. They may talk about different things, but once they start implying this is what's happening, this is where we're going to go, this is what we're going to do, those sort of things eventually lead to progressing the story. I will try to keep up with that, but I don't want to skip over an event because everyone else has already decided to do something else in the downtime. So if I've already prepared an area or a section within an adventure, I prefer that the adventurers don't skip that area initially because they've decided in roleplay they want to do something entirely different. And that's not even during the game, that would be outside of the game. And basically, that's progressing the storyline beyond the scope of what I had planned. And I can't allow for that. So when they role play, I hope they do it in fun and kind of getting to know each other and developing their characters and not trying to progress their own agendas or their own story outside of the game. So I hope,
Makes sense.
all right. So I do occasionally give out information to individuals, and I hope somehow they work that into their story. I don't expect it. So if I give you some tidbit of information, I would hope that you would do a little research, and if that comes up during the play, that you'll have something to say about it, or at least know to avoid it, or you know maybe issue a warning, whatever it may be that makes sense for the time being. So normally when I give out my players information, there is a reason for it. It's not because I want them to know the whole area. It's because I want them to know something about the area. So when they hear names, places, and things, I'm not explaining every single aspect of it as we play along. I don't mind explaining, but I want people to have an idea of what they're exploring at least as far as names, places, and things go. I don't expect them to know this battle took place here and those sort of things. Just the names and whereabouts they are and kind of a little bit of local background of it, like who's in charge of the area, those sort of things. All right, so Amber has dark vision because she is a dwarf, and as a hill dwarf, she ends up getting a +1 to her hit points at every level. So as soon as she picks that specific sub race, she's given that ability, which is automatically calculated by Fantasy Grounds. So if you go to sub race, you have hill and mountain dwarfs. So hill dwarfs have an ability score increase. So in addition to their constitution score, because all dwarves get a con bonus, or usually they do, she gets a +1 on wisdom. So it's a really good fit for being a cleric. The dwarven toughness is what increases hit point maximum by 1 every time you gain a level. So over time, 10th level, you're going to have 10 extra hit points, which is really cool. Mountain dwarves, they get dwarven armor training. So they get to have light and medium armor. And they get an ability score increase of a strength score by 2. So they're really strong. So mountain dwarves make really good candidates for warriors and such. So just kind of an FYI thing. So when you make a hill dwarf, it automatically will add in to your max hit points on top of your constitution bonus. So she has a +3. So she's actually getting +4 every time she levels up. So that's pretty cool. She is the Order of the Gauntlet. She kind of spoke about that earlier. The Order of the Gauntlet is a kind of a faction that exists in the Forgotten Realms, and she gets a couple languages. She gets a badge or an emblem of the faction. She gets the seminal text or the code book or the faction. She gets a set of regular clothing and a pouch with 15 gold. So, the seminal faction book is something that, as a player, you should know what it says. So I am going to open up her inventory, and there is a thing on here that says seminal text or faction code. So I'm going to open this up, and all it is a 5-pound book, pretty heavy. So I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to find this seminal faction code. So I'm going to go online, and I think this would be worth 1 gold. So it's a valuable book, and it has notes and whatever other stuff she needs in there for her own self. So I'm going to go online, and I'm going to look for Order of the Gauntlet. And here it is, the Order of the Gauntlet. So I'm going to go to this page. And in here, it shows the symbol. It shows basically their, I guess you'd call this their mission statement. So I'm going to put this in the book. And since that's a statement, later on I'm going to make it italicized. But for right now, I'll just leave it until I get all the text. The
I
next
didn't
thing,
even think about putting that in there. Yeah, there's tenets or something too,
yep,
like what
there's
they
things,
believe and stuff. That would
exactly.
be good to add in the book. There, down there under the
Yep,
order of the ranks.
right. So here's the ideals. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to put this And I'll reformat this later. I'm not too worried about the format just yet. And then the tenants. Oh, these are the ranks. So what I'm going to do with those is we don't really have renown. These are left over from other rule sets. However, I am going to bring all this in here because these are names of people that are available in the Sword Coast region. So if you ever travel to these areas or you're in the vicinity, you might bump into these individuals. So I'm going to go ahead and grab all of this. So this gives you an idea of what to look for. So I believe that Lady Shell's character, Amber, is on her way to being a Martian.
Yeah, when I saw that, I wondered which level I was at. Would figure that I would be into the first in the first level since I'm fairly new to the
faction. So with this, I'm gonna put italics up here. So I hit Control I, which italicizes this. If I hit Control 2, that makes this a header. Here, I'm going to put Control B, which is bold. And anything under here would be like bold too. And then the ideals, that's going to be a header. So again, that's Control 2 to make it a red, bold header like. Actually, it looks like I copied the same thing. Yeah, I think I did. There we go. I'd actually pasted the exact same information. Okay. So here, order of the gauntlet ranks. I'm going to make that bold or a header. And then it has all the rank information here. So I'm going to italicize those. And then it explains what each one of these are.
Yeah, I noticed that it has renown. I'm playing in Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and we're a member of the Force Grey. And I know that when you complete certain missions or something, you get your renown goes up, and that's how you level in the organization.
Right. So we will keep track of that then. Otherwise, there's no point in being in a faction. And I know this is important in Adventures League, so And then all the contact, I'm going to italicize those. All right, so I reformatted the book. So if she wants to look in here, Lady Shell, she's playing her character, and she needs to know what her bullet points on, then she'll have them. Why does it keep looking like the same thing? No, anyway, it looks like it's doubled up. So order ideals, order ideals. Yeah, I don't get that. Anyways, it's there. You can edit this later if it's duplicated. But you have all your stuff here, so that's important to have that. So if you're part of a faction or maybe a thieves guild and you have some kind of notes, take the time to write the stuff down. So there we go. There's your seminal faction text code book. So these are the little details that make your character come to life. That's kind of why I've titled this stream as Bringing to Life Your PCs. Welcome to the world, Amber Frostbeard. So this is a way to kind of get into your character and detail these things so that it makes sense for the game. So she has some trinkets here. She has a 4-leaf clover that's pressed
I
inside the
rolled
book.
from them from the trinkets table. Like got
Yep.
two really crazy
Right.
trinkets there.
So
That one's the best of the two. I
mhm,
think the other one's a broken sword hilt or something
mhm.
used.
Maybe that sword hilt was the blade that killed your brother.
Oh my God. And I'm carrying it around.
Hmm.
Oh God.
Maybe to avenge him or to find out what happened.
Didn't he die in the war? I thought he died in the war.
Yes. But if he died in the war, that that broken blade was still inside of him when he
Oh,
died.
that's true. That's true.
So who knows? It doesn't have to be. I'm just suggesting for a backstory. Um, so then you have the badge of your faction. So it just says an emblem. You could put a note in there that says, Order of the Gauntlet.
Now, in my inventory, under the emblem there, where did I put for location? Did I put it as equipped? I think I might have put equipped on my cloak or something. I
Uh,
can't remember. I
says
mean, I know
neck.
it's not equipped as in it will make any difference to my armor class, but because I'm wearing it,
You have
you
your holy
know,
symbol. It's on your neck. That's the only thing
right.
you. Everything else is in a
Oh,
backpack.
okay. I thought my emblem was worn.
It says
How would you
backpack.
wear it?
A
Oh,
pen
well,
or a
I guess I'll have
necklace.
to take it out and show it
It could
instead
be
of
a pen, a
wear.
necklace, a ring. It could even be part of your uniform. So it really doesn't matter as long as you know what it is. And if you want to bring more information or detail, let's talk about what it is. So it's Order of the Gauntlet. What is the item? Is it a pin? Is it a necklace? Is it a ring? Is it a cape?
I think it's a pin. Well, you know what? Let's make it a badge. Then I can pull it out and show it rather than have to wear it. It would be easier
Okay.
to use, I
So
believe
it's
that.
like a sheriff badge, but it. So we just put notes in there that it's a badge,
I'm
and
thinking it's more like a business card.
okay. Well, nonetheless, that's that. And then she has a hilt of a broken sword. We haven't come up with the backstory, but if you have one, you would put it here. And then also the 4-leaf clover. It's pressed inside of a book discussing manners and etiquette. So that's probably in the Seminole Faction book somewhere, because that also discusses manners and
You
etiquette.
don't think that I was thinking that maybe because it's a book about etiquette and stuff, and because I'm an emissary and I deal
Mm-hmm.
with people and my Christmas only 10,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I need this book to help me make sure that I don't say the wrong thing.
Correct. Maybe it's your prayer book. You never know. Maybe that's part of your prayer things or something. I don't know. But you have some candles, brewer supplies, you have a blanket. I'm going to change the blanket to a winter blanket because normally it gets pretty damn cold. It's still not summer yet. It's late winter, early spring. So I'm
We're
going to,
heading to the Greengrass Festival, aren't
mhm,
we?
that's the first day of spring.
Okay.
While you're in the city, you won't need to worry about the blanket. But while you're traveling, yes, you need a nice sturdy blanket. Blanket winter backpack. Um, is your badge probably would be in your pouch?
Yeah, that sounds like a good place for it. Isn't that where your money goes to?
Yeah, but I mean it's right there. Your holy symbol you wear around your neck, and then you have your crossbow bolts. I got to grab you a case to carry your crossbow
Oh,
bolts.
yeah, I didn't move one over. Yeah. When I put my inventory in, I grabbed most of the things just using Rob's
Yes.
background and class
Hmm.
equipment bundle, which just lets you drag everything over. But that only will do the basic things. And we
Hmm.
added a few additional things, like I have one healing potion that you said that
Right.
we're allowed to have.
Yep.
So that these certain things I moved over by just opening the items tab and searching for it and dragging the shield over to my inventory sheet.
So you have your case now. You have your chainmail. You have a cloak. You have your clothing, your winter blanket. Now, how do we denote that you own a horse? So, what I'm going to do is look through the items.
Yeah, my horse is not in my inventory for sure
No,
because I
but it
didn't
can
know
be
about it
noted
until
here.
today.
It can be noted here.
Pony.
Yep. Um, also,
Also, what was I going to
let's see. So I don't have the book loaded right now, but if you go to the DM's Guild and Matakire and Rob Tui again put this out. I believe Matakire did this on his own. I don't remember. But there is an equipment guide.
You talking about the comprehensive equipment guide?
Yes, the comprehensive equipment manual. This thing is real. Yeah, Rob helped publish it. Wraithright Productions, John Waite, Matakire. Okay, so what this does is it adds another additional things to your, to your inventory. So I'm going to look for pony. And yes, there is the pony. It's also available in the player's handbook. So I'm going to put pony in her inventory. And in parentheses, we're going to put war pony honey. Now, obviously, she's not carrying this thing. So we don't need to worry about that. But it just gives you her value. In this case, I think honey's value would be more than 30. So I would think like 50 or 60.
That sounds good. Then you just leave it as not carried because of the fact
Yes,
that you're not carrying it and it's not equipped. So
right.
that is the blank symbol in the sheet.
So this is going to be like a pony or a horse for non-ID name. So if I put that on there, and if I put the pony on the combat tracker as a NPC, I will not need to worry about giving away the name. Or if someone else stole the horse from her, and they got this item, meaning another character, they wouldn't know the horse's name because it would be unidentified. But in this case, it's identified. She knows who her horse is. It's 60 gold. So, one other thing I'm going to do to make this more convenient is I'm going to make the pony. So, I'm going to go to NPCs. Now, this is a lot of extra work, but this is the type of detail you want for your characters. So, I'm going to go to story. No, not story. I'm going to NPCs. I'm going to look up pony. Here is the pony. So this is part of the monster manual. I can't edit this thing, so I'm going to make a copy of it. And how you do that is just drag this link, drop it back here, and now I have a copied version of it. I'm also going to make a new group because I don't want to lose this. I have one called My NPCs, so I'm going to drag it into there. And now I have this group. So now I'm going to open up the pony, unlock the token, and I'm going to name it Honey the Pony, or what do you want to call it?
Yeah, we just call it Honey.
Okay, Honey will be the name of it, but the
War
non-ID
Pony
name
or something,
is
maybe.
War Pony.
Yeah. Yeah, War Pony would be a good non.
Good enough, because it's going to have armor. So it's a medium size. It's a beast. It doesn't really have an alignment. Its armor class is 10, and that's because of its AC. Hit points is 11. So I'm going to give her a few more hit points so she can have 2d8 plus 12. Let me see if I roll what it gives me. So 2d8. So I'm putting a modifier of +2. And now I'm going to grab this dice. There's 2, and let's see what it rolls. 14. What do you know? So she's going to have 14 hit points instead of the generic one. And her armor class is going to go up because she's going to have barding, which is horse armor. So what I'm going to do is look up the barding, which would be more than likely an equipment. And that's why I loaded up the other book. Okay, so medium equine armor is medium for her. It's tack and harness, but this is more for, it's designed for mounts or other animals. It typically covers the head, neck, and body, leaving the legs free of impediment. An armor shown on the armor table in Chapter 2 can be purchased or crafted as barding. Okay, so I'll have to look that up for how much it actually weighs and costs. But what I'm going to do is link this link, to the back of the pony. So here, there's nothing back here. So take this, make a copy of it, because I don't want it to pull from this resource when she needs to use it or look it up. So I now have a copy of it, and I'm going to put it in my own group. I'm just going to call it my item.
Can you explain why we have two windows? Phil Rouser asked why we have two windows in there.
The other one's a preview window. If I need to show something outside of Fantasy Grounds, that's why. But I can also turn it off for now, because I'm not showing anything outside. There we go. Thank you. so that way it doesn't cover everything up. So here's Honey, here's a War Pony, here's the items list, in which, yep, close that. All right, so what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to put the barding on the pony itself, and I'm also going to drag this up to items first. So go to my item, and now it's in my own group. I don't have to contaminate, what's already here. So here's the barding. So I'm going to take the barding, and I'm going to put it in a couple areas. So one, I'm going to link the pony. I'll link that so that there's a direct link to it. And for the armor itself, I will also link it here. So now, whenever she wants to look up something, she meaning Lady Shell, it's in both places. I went ahead and made that a heading. So that gives her a direct link to the item. Another thing is right click on the pony and make sure I share it with her. So if she was connected to my table, I could drag the pony entry to her so that she has access permissions. And then also to this NPC, I would also drag this to her so she'd have control of it. So that would be part of, developing the character, but also developing the character's assets. So the War Pony has a 15 strength, which I agree with. I'm going to give her an 11 dex, which doesn't change anything. It just gives her a slightly higher dexterity. Being that she's a pony, they're probably fairly dexterous. Con will stay the same. Intelligence, I thought about this. I'm going to give her a 3 intelligence instead of 2. So that gives her just a little bit more thinking power. 11 con or wisdom is good, and a 7 charisma, I'm going to give her an 8. So that actually makes her my pretty pony. So
She's almost as charismatic as me.
yeah. So there we go. Now I have to look up the table in the book to talk about how much this armor gives her. So I'm going to put here natural plus barding or something like that. So normally it's 10, but when she has her barding on, it's going to be a little bit higher. So it said in the description that I need to go to chapter 2, which will be in the comprehensive equipment guide. And it says the armor table, yeah, so the armor shown in the armor table in chapter 2 can be purchased or crafted as barding. Okay, it's usually double the cost of whatever normal armor would be. Okay, so now we have to determine what kind of armor it is. So there's barding, tack, and harness. It also has drawn vehicle connections. So if you wanted to pull a chariot or something like that. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the story entry. I'm going to drop this down to the comprehensive equipment manual. And chapter 2, how to use this product, reference only, dungeon master's use. Okay. Introduction, comprehensive manuals. Okay. Huh. I wonder if they're talking about chapter 2 in the player's handbook, because it says any armor shown on the armor table in chapter 2 can be purchased or crafted as barding. The cost and weight are shown as multiples of the equivalent armor when made for humanoids. So that's what they're referring to. So her barding is not going to be super heavy. So we need to figure out what it is. So let's go to a standard armor in the player's handbook. It's just going to be double the cost and probably the weight. So let's
I
take.
I have
Go
a
ahead.
question
Mm-hmm.
on the barding.
Mm-hmm.
It says it's equine barding, but wouldn't that be for a regular horse? Is there a specific barding that would fit the pony?
Not really, but since it says medium, that fits the size. And this barding is going to be size for the horse, anyways. So
Okay.
it's not specific to the horse. It's more to do with the crafting of it, how much it costs, how much it weighs, that sort of thing. So let's see. I am going to. Oh, this is 3 times the cost. Cost 3 times. Okay, so I am going to go to the inventory area and pull that up. So what is this? Let's see. So armor. Okay, so none of this infused crap. Okay, there's padded, which only gives her an 11. So I was thinking around 13 would be a good number for her. And then we can decide from there. So this could be Brigadine armor, which kind of looks like what she has in her photo. Layered furs is 12. That's not too bad. Chain. I think she's going to have a chain coat or a shirt. Something along the chain or Brigadine. So Brigadine is a combination like leather and chain and things like that. Little pieces and plates. Yeah, so she can't really go much higher than that for weight. It's an extra 20 pounds. Times 2, that's another 40 pounds. So
I am probably ruining this for myself, but I noticed that there was one that said furs and it was for a 12 AC. Wouldn't
mm-hmm.
that be kind of like a good idea for my horse? And it's what,
um,
5 gold pieces?
Probably. It's probably more than 5. It's probably like 10 or 15 gold because it's bigger. Because these sizes are for humans. So you have to double or triple the weight.
Oh, gotcha.
So I think she should use something that gives her 13, regardless of
Okay.
whatever it's called. So just to give her a little you know, extra protection, but not with too much weight or bulk. I think layered furs would be too bulky for her. On a regular horse, I think that would be fine. But it does give her stealth disadvantage for layered furs and Brigadine. So I think a chain coat would probably be the better bet.
Once you get the armor on her, I would like to see how we would take the armor off of her, like when we're putting her into the,
You
be
just
boarded and
adjust
stuff.
you just adjust the stat block.
Okay, I wasn't sure if there was a
So if you're gonna
way
do
of doing
that,
that.
you can make 2 versions of her, or you can just adjust the stat block. So in this case, I'm just gonna change this manually to 13. Because in most cases she's gonna have it on, unless she's boarded or in a stable. So that's that.
Yeah, I was thinking it was that maybe there could be something like, how when I do the drop shield, it
hmm
would be similar to that
Yeah, it's kind of hard to do for the. I could manually
for an
type.
NPC.
Yeah, I could manually create an effect and drop it on her and leave it on her until it was time for her to put it back on. So I could make an effect in the conditions. See, it says this minus AC -2. I could put her in the combat tracker and then drop that effect on her. It would
I
actually
would
be -3, but nonetheless, that's how you do it.
I would think that unless other people are also having animals where you would use that, I don't need you to make a specific thing just for my.
No, but it's already here. So if we needed to, I could drag this over and drop it on the horse if she wasn't wearing her armor.
Okay.
So that also might give her more speed. So there might be a chase, right? So maybe she would gain less of a disadvantage or lose less room or less movement in rough conditions. So if she was going over, difficult terrain, you usually lose 10 feet. Maybe if we drop the armor, she'd only lose 5 feet. So there's different ways you can kind of adjudicate that, make sense of it.
What is the pony speed? Does she have more than 25?
40.
Well, I hope she gets more.
She has 40.
She's 40. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question regarding in our particular campaign that we're going to be using the pony. I am riding the pony as I'm heading to Silvery Moon, correct?
Yep.
Okay. I know that there's going to be some kind of thing where I'm going to get into some trouble. What happens to the pony when I'm like in that
Usually you
trap or whatever?
dismount and fight. So at some point you must have dismounted.
Yeah.
And then
Because
the
I
pony
wouldn't want the pony to be up in the trap too,
No,
upside down.
the pony would usually just hang around the area for a couple days. And then once it noticed that you weren't coming back or you weren't feeding it or taking it somewhere, it'd probably just wander back to where it came from. Or it would graze somewhere. So that's the deal. So now you have your barding and it's detailed and it is linked to here on the horse. Now I'm going to put it in your inventory, but we're going to put it under the horse. So here's the barding. It's going on your inventory. We don't have a weight for it, but it's going to be like 40 pounds. So there's 40 pounds.
Does the pony have its own packs
Yeah, it'll have saddlebags,
that it's wearing?
but we're going to first do
And
this.
that's where if I had brewing supplies, that they would go in the packs on the pony.
Probably. So brewing
But I'm not
supplies.
starting with them.
Yeah. So right now the barding is on the pony. It's not on your overall weight. And then let's do the saddlebags. Okay, so saddlebags. So you have saddlebags. And then the saddle itself. So canine, no. Saddle. There's a riding saddle. That's what you're going to need.
No bareback for
No.
Amber.
So medium saddle, equine, pack, canine, military. Could do military, but no, she needs like a riding saddle. So where's the medium?
Military seems like it would be maybe heavy or something.
Yeah, it would be. So he would do a riding saddle right here. There you go. So I don't think she can put too much more weight on than that. And then she has to carry your big butt too.
Hey, I don't have a big butt.
So the war pony. One war pony and some saddlebag.
Does it say on the war pony how much weight it can carry?
I'm sure you can look it up. There is a capacity. I think I'd have to look in a different book though. So let me see. Yeah, because they don't really count the weight and such, but I'm pretty sure that there is a supplement out there. I think I have some that do with horses. But I
I
can
was
look
just
that up
wondering
later.
if it was in the stat block.
No, it's not. If it was, if I knew what it was, I would put it in the in the notes in the back. So you wanted the brewer supplies in the saddlebag. So I'll change that. All right. So there you go. So you have your pony, and if you bring the pony up, you have a link to your barding. I think I'm going to put another link in there for your saddlebags. Let's see. And then barding, saddlebags, and then the saddle. So you have the exotic riding. The only reason it's exotic because it's diminutive, meaning it's smaller than a normal uh, horse saddle. So there you go. So all the stuff that's attached to the horse or is part of the horse is right there. So these are the little minor details that can help make your character a lot more interesting and not so generic. Normally that stuff doesn't come up. You don't have to worry about it, but it does help to know what's going on with these pets. And then I have to put unequipped brewer supplies. That took some weight off you. So there you go.
My excuse me, my
So I was saying before that the extension I'm using is basically how to handle one or two-handed weapons. So I need to put your ammunition up here. Let's see. Are we back in business? Happens here. So I am going to try to re-trigger Fantasy Grounds so that shows up more on the bigger screen. I hate it when OBS crashes. It's a major thing. So let me see. How do we fix this? So here's FGC, software capture, turn it off, turn it back on. I don't have any audio from you, Lady Shell. For some reason, it's not coming through OBS because of the crash. So that really sucks. Yeah, we'll get it back. Dave, we'll get it back. So Lady Shell, if you're there, I apologize. I cannot hear you any longer in Discord.
Were you talking to me? I was AFK. You missed me
Oh.
saying I was AFK
Oh.
while you were getting set
Okay.
up. Sorry.
All right. We're back, folks. So where were we before we were so rudely interrupted? And I need to
Weren't we
get.
putting the stuff on the pony, right? We
Yeah,
were
we're done
putting
with
stuff
that
in the
pretty
pack.
much. Yep. Let me get rid of the display capture. Don't need that right now. Spend a lot of time on that, but it is useful. So right now I have an extension, and I believe it's the handedness extension. I don't remember what the name of it is. Let me check that. You go on
I
the.
remember that. That does like the two-handed
Mm-hmm.
or yeah.
Let's
That's
show
what
that.
those hands are up there,
Mm-hmm.
right? Those little
Yes.
icons.
Yes.
Cool.
So I'm going to look up the name of that extension. Weapon handling. That's what it's called. And I am going to. Let's see. Weapon handedness.
When I write up the description, when we put this on YouTube, I'll try and
Okay.
add additional things like that, and the maybe
Mm-hmm.
link to the comprehensive equipment manual, things that we used in the video. So in case
Yes.
anyone's interested in using the same.
Right. So this comes from the official Fantasy Grounds forums. And you have to load it up before you start your campaign or your session. So I'm going to put that in the. And while I'm going through this, Lady Shell can please link that in the Discord or the Twitch chat. So basically, you have a way to switch between two-handed or one-handed weapon use. What's handy about that is before you have to make another entry. This actually allows to where you can switch it between I'm using this one-handed or I'm using it two-handed. The only thing I don't notice if it does is it doesn't take away the bonus that you get from your shield. So if Lady Shell uses her hammer two-handed, she has a shield bonus that gives her 18. So that's right here. So if I put on the combat tracker, and let's put her on here, when she has her shield, it's automatically calculated in. But I had her make a effect, and this effect is just basically part of her standard actions. We just call it shield drop. Now, you open the properties of this, it says drop shield semicolon AC colon -2, and it's set on self. So what that does is when she uses the weapon in a two-handed situation, she would come over here and subtract mathematically. That's all it does. It doesn't change her sheet at all. It just puts the math against whatever's rolled against her. So I'm going to click on the, what you call it? This is spiritual weapon. I want to get to shield drop. If I click on shield drop, it says AC -2, and then she can use her warhammer as a two-handed weapon. When she goes back to single-handed, then as a player, she can go to the effects and minus this out. So that is how you can deal with temporary or situational stat adjustments, is you can do that in here. If you own Rob Tui's coding effects, There's the conditions and effects. You can also do the -2 and drag that to her.
I wanted to point out that Phil Rossler said another way that you could do it, which seems a little easier, is just to set the shield to not carried or to
Right,
wait,
right,
carried.
right. But I honestly think that's more inconvenient during battle. I know what you mean. You can actually take this and remove it. But I think it's easier to have this effect on there and also remind you because it's up here. And then when the battle or the combat tracker comes around, there's a note of it that you actually did that. And there's benefits and bonuses and penalties for doing both ways. But I actually like that. That actually takes care of the math. It doesn't change the character sheet. Now, if you lose the shield, yes, I would say put it on not carried until you find it. But as far as in the heat of a moment, it's really simple. You're already on the combat tracker. You just minus it out from here or from an effect, and then you could just remove the effect when the condition is met. So that is that.
But now you got two ways to do it. So
Yep,
people have two ways, whichever way that they prefer.
that's right. So yes, thank you for reminding us. That is the normal way to do it. Is to go to your inventory, go to your shield, and unequip it. I mean, that's pretty simple. But I like the actions or using the situational modifiers. That way you don't have to worry about going back and forth.
Also, it would remind you that you need to pick it back up
Mm-hmm.
because if you're in a battle, you might forget, and then your turn comes
Yep.
up again, and then you're like, you get hit at something that's hitting you at 16 rather than 18, and you're like, no, no, I have 18. No, you don't. You didn't pick your shield back.
Right. So that's that. So now let's go into some of this other stuff. So I put in her ammo, which normally doesn't populate on its own. And then unarmed strike, Lady Shell has picked in case she wants to punch somebody, which I'm sure she will. Yep. So unarmed strike, she gets +1 bonus here. There's really no damage associated other than her strength bonus. So she gets 2 points of damage when she punches somebody.
Watch out, I'm a dwarf. I can be angry.
All right. So she has her channel divinity preserve life, which allows her to heal up to 15 points. She has turn undead. So if she comes across undead, she would roll the cast against the undead that she's targeting, and it can be more than one. And then if they fail, then she would apply the effect to them, in which they'd be turned, which means they have to move away from her, basically. At higher levels or certain domains, you can also destroy undead. So, like skeletons and zombies, any of the lower level ones, usually. She has Dwarven Resilience, so I'm going to put that on because that actually is permanent. So she can resist poison, and if she does get poisoned, it's half damage. And she has advantage on saving throws. So it's really hard to hurt her with poison. It can still be done, but it'd have to be a lot of it. She'd have to fail on an advantage saving throw. So that's kind of cool there. She has Stone Cunning. Now she gets double her proficiency bonus for history. I would not put that on unless she was rolling specifically for stonework. The other way you can handle that instead of making it an effect would be to go to your skills tab, make a separate entry called stonework, then just add the double proficiency. I think I like it that way better instead of the effect, because then you have a separate roll for it. It's still based off the same stat as history, which would be intelligence, and then you would add your double your proficiency bonus to that. So I'm going to do that instead. Much easier. So if you click here on skills, click here. I'm just going to call it stonework. The star means she's proficient. Now I want double proficiency, and it's based on intelligence, which is what history is based on. So rather than using that effect, you can actually just make a roll instead. Because the item is very situational. So
because it's situational.
That's why I don't like using that effect. Because this says skill, history, action. So I don't know. It to me this is too generic. It doesn't stop you from using history for something else. So that's why it's so situational. I don't like using it that way. Because then you have to turn it off and on. It just drives me bananas.
I wanted to go back to where you were talking about the channel divinity where you could turn undead and mention to anybody that might be in our chat that has never used Fantasy Grounds that when you get the turn undead and you say you got like 10 zombies that you cast your turn undead and they're within the 30 feet. And if you were playing it offline, you would have to like write all this stuff down and say which one's turned, which one's not turned. But Fantasy Grounds does the work for you, and they tell you which NPCs are turned, which are not, and then then you know what to do when their turn comes up, if they're going to be running away from the cleric or if they're going to be attacking.
That's right. So this would help with that for sure. You could draw out the radius, and then any of the undead in there, you would target them, and then you would apply the saving throw, and the ones that pass or fail are kept track of. The ones that fail would have to move away from you. So that's how that goes. So this is kind of explaining a little bit about what some of this stuff does. Let's see. So the consumables area, all she's done here is create an area to keep track of her items. It's really not tracking the inventory on the inventory section. It's just a handy dandy checkoff sheet. And of course she has the potion coded. So in case she has to use it, the button's right here. She just drags it to her or one of her allies. So the potion is coded to targets. So not just herself, but everybody.
I wanted to point out that I don't think that I added the additional, you know how I have the life, because I'm a life cleric, I get the additional healing starting at,
So let's do
no, it
that.
wasn't starting at level 2. Yeah, we need to add that
So
to
bonus
my,
preserve life, she gets that 15 points of, healing. But being that she's a disciple of life, her healing is much more potent. So she gets a +2 plus the spell level on how much it adds to the healing. So this only applies to healing spells. Now, it does not apply to the cantrips. So let's make sure we understand that. So first level spells or higher. So I'm going to go down her spells, and she has Bless, Cure Wounds. Now, Cure Wounds is a first level spell. So I'm going to open this up, and I think it's already there. So if you open this up, no, I don't know, where is that coming from? Okay,
the
Wisdom.
thing says +3, isn't that got the additional point?
Yeah, it must have calculated already. So we don't have to worry about that.
Question.
Yeah.
If I did Cure Wounds at level 2, should I have a second area of where that would be because of the coding changes, because the level is changed? Would it be an additional point?
Yep.
So I would have
Well, no, it's the spells
level 2 version of Cure Wounds?
It's the spells level, not the
the spells level. Okay,
not the level of
got
casting. Yeah. I know what you were thinking.
Glad you cleared that up.
Yep. So there's the domain spells. Here are the regular spells. So those would be the only ones. Let me look at
There's a
which ones do you want to
healing
prepare?
word in level 1 spells. What I did when I did my sheet is I have domain spells of bless, cure wounds,
Okay.
Lesser Restoration, and Spiritual Weapon. So
Right.
instead of redoing them in my level 1 category, oh no, oh yeah, that's Bane. I
Uh-huh.
did not include them in the level 1 category.
Right.
They are,
Bonus.
stuck in and every time I get a new level, I think it's level 5 is the
Yep.
next time that I get additional domain spells, then I
Right.
put them under that power
Okay.
rather than the regular level 1 or
Right.
whatever power.
So healing word, it's 1d4 plus 3. So it must already be calculating in that bonus.
Thank you, Fantasy Grounds, for doing the math for me.
You used to have to add that in manually. Like you'd have to go into the bonus area and add that, but I think it's already doing it. It also could be that you're getting your wisdom bonus from that too. So you're getting plus 3 from wisdom. So it's always 2 plus the spells level. So in this case, wouldn't that be 5 or 6? So we might have to go back and fix those. So that's just your wisdom bonus. That is not your disciple of life bonus. So you at least get an extra point because you're already getting your wisdom bonus. So you would add +1 to the bonus area because you're already getting the +2. Wait, it's equal to 2 plus the spell's level. See, that's pretty, that's crazy. So you're getting 3 in addition to whatever's there. That's the way I interpret it. So,
Life Clerics rock.
mm-hmm. So here, the life cleric, she's getting 1d8 plus 3. That's from her wisdom bonus. And for the other bonus, it would be 3 here.
So we do have to
Mm-hmm.
change this, and this is how you would do it.
Yep. And then I'm changing, what's this? Cure wounds.
Then the healing word
Yep.
in level 1.
Yep. Cure wounds. So you're going to have to adjust this manually if your wisdom goes up, or not wisdom, but if your spell level is level 2, that'll be a little bit higher. It'll be 4 instead of 2 or 3. So if it was second level, is there any healing in second? Not really.
I don't think so.
A, does that heal?
That adds additional,
Yeah,
like,
that's not the same.
It's for, yeah.
It's temporary. Okay, so there we go. Prayer of healing.
Oh, I forgot about that one. I don't
Yeah.
use that. Isn't that the one that
Mm-hmm.
takes 10 minutes? Is the one you don't do in combat?
Yep. So this would be a 4. That's how that goes. So all her spells are now adjusted if she uses them or memorize them for the day or prepares them for the day. So speaking of which ones do you want to prepare for today?
Okay, I get how many? 4 first level, 2 second level, correct?
Yeah, and that's how many slots you have.
I
Just happens
want
to be.
to prepare healing word, bless, um, let's see. Oh, is not inflict wounds. What's the one that's a damage spell in level 1?
Guiding
It's
bolt.
not inflict.
Guiding
What is it
bolt.
called?
Guiding
Yes,
bolt.
I love that one.
And you
That one
wanted
and
bless.
yes, bless.
You already have bless though.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
Show me my spell list again.
So you have
The
Bane's.
screen is I gotta
Yep.
wait for it to catch up
So there's a
to where we
couple.
are.
Yeah.
Um, how about sanctuary?
Okay, you get
Sanctuary
one
might be good.
more.
No, I thought I did 4. I got bless.
Bless is a bonus spell. It's already prepared.
Oh, Oh, it is? Because
Yes,
it's domain?
yes.
Oh, I didn't know
It
that.
doesn't count against your daily prepared spells.
Okay, guiding bolt, healing word, sanctuary, and do inflict wounds then for my fourth one.
Okay. Second,
Second level, probably the
spiritual
uh
hammer.
no, that's one of my domain spells.
Okay, so that doesn't
So it
count.
shouldn't be down there. If it is, it shouldn't be. Um, can you move Amber out of the way? She's blocking the words.
There. It's easier if I move the.
Or move the sheet. That's fine.
Yep.
Um, how about yeah, the spiritual weapon is down in level 2. It needs to be taken out. That and lesser restoration because they're up in the domains. How about
Old person or
hold person and wait, was there
spiritual
a
hammer?
silence one?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, silence.
silence. Yeah.
Hold person and silence in case we get any mages that we're fighting against.
Right. So there's the spells prepared. Now I'm going to change it back to actions and display our combat and then actions. So now it shows her first and second level spells. Yep, they're all ready to go. So this is a very detailed character right now.
And if you want to learn how to do this, you can take any of our character creation classes and we'll show you how to do it.
How do they find us, Lady Shell?
Oh, I keep pushing the wrong push to talk button. They would go to our Discord, which I will grab the link and post in.
Okay. So we put her notes back here. Amber hails from Citadel Adbar. And then she has her whole backstory here. And it talks about how she became who she is, what happened to her in the past. She talks about the death of her brother. She inherited her magic warhammer and her armor from her brother. So she has a +1 warhammer, which is in her inventory. Let's see. Yep, warhammer +1. And that adds the +1. So in the properties, it's +1 bludgeoning, magic. So that is how it's set up. It's already built that way. We didn't have to do it from scratch. So she's pretty much ready to go. The only thing I could say is missing is some of her tokens and artwork. So I'm going to grab a photo that we chose for her. Now, we don't own the rights to this photo, but we're going to use it as personal use. So I'm going to turn back on the double screen thing in OBS. You can see what I'm doing. So this is the display capture. So I'm going to first, I'm going to pull up the web page. So this is some artwork that I put together for Lady Shell for our game. All I did was layer some photos together. So there's her war pony and there's her avatar. So I'm going to drag that over and drop it into our campaign so that we can share this occasionally if we need to. So what I'm going to do is go to the maps and images. I'm going to create a new section. Yeah, I'm going to make a new section.
I have a question here, not for me, from TR Kinski.
Okay.
Wants to know, can you hide your background from other players? I don't think people see
Background.
your background because it's your, what you put on your notes tab.
They don't get to see your sheet at all
Right, that's what I was
unless you share
thinking.
it.
Whatever you want to reveal. If you don't want to reveal some of your background, then you just don't tell people and you keep it to yourself.
Okay, so campaign, and I'm going to open up the desktop. Okay, so here I have this picture of Amber, and I added it. There's another character that I've made, so I'll put that there. These are just little posters for flavor. They don't really, they don't really have to be there. They're just for fun. So that's that. So now we have this big photo. So I'm going to call this PC, comma, Amber and Sugar. And then I'm just going to put Amber right here.
You mean honey. We changed the name since you named it before.
All right, honey. Amber and honey. Okay. So if the players didn't know who she was, female dwarf and pony.
And
So
can you explain why you have the PC
yes,
comma in front of your
yep,
thing and why you do?
because it organizes the group here. So if you just leave all their names, it's going to be all jumbled up. So like Daedra Silverstalker, we put PC Daedra Silverstalker, and here this would say Elven Ranger or something, Elven Warrior.
Looks like she's a two-handed ranger.
No metagaming, Shell.
I
Just
can
kidding.
tell from the
I
picture.
know. I'm kidding. So these photos, all I do is I just take images and layer them on top of each other. So I don't own any of this art, but like these dragonflies, I added those. They were not originally part of the photo. I added her, of course. Then I add these little patches of grass and reed, so it doesn't look like she's floating up in the air. Although it still kind of looks that way, it's not too bad. And then, of course, you have your backdrop. So Amber and Honey, same thing. I had this picture of this dwarven kingdom in the background. Then I found this stone portal. I thought that was cool. It kind of centers in on her. And then I just layered her and the horse, the pony in the background. So it looks like she's left her kingdom. She's getting ready to take off. So this is kind of like a way to add some flavor to the campaign. So here you see it says PC, and if I add a map, it'll be like map, comma, whatever the map name is. That way it keeps all the images together in
You
groups.
have a picture of Mo also, I believe, that you could add.
Yeah, if I can find it. Let's see.
I could find it for you.
There we go.
Got
So
it?
we have
Okay.
our Bugbarian.
Oh yeah, he's my friend.
Oops. All right, let's try that.
We're also going to be streaming this campaign when we finally do play it. So we hope everybody will come and watch and you'll get to know how I got to be friends with this bugbear.
So here's Wilbur's, and he's our artificer. And then we have Cass, but I'm not done with her photo yet. And the Bugbarian. His name is Ren, but here we go. So this W symbol, this is the women's symbol. Don't need that. So I'll put that somewhere else.
Yeah, in our women, in our women's, we're having a women's event where we're going to have a panel of female players from FGC, and that will be taking place on the 15th of March. So we hope you'll come and watch it. That will be in our YouTube. I will be a premiere on our YouTube page on the 15th of March.
Right. So here, there's Wilbar.
Still need to make one for Chaz too.
Artificer.
I like his little clockwork. What is it, like a little dragony type of
Dragonfly. Yeah.
creature?
Yep.
Dragonfly. Oh yeah.
Yep. PC Wilbar's poster, and then I just changed that. So what that does is it organizes these photos. So if I add maps and other handouts, I would change it. So PC Bugbarian poster. So if you don't know him, just looks like a bugbear warrior. I did the same thing. Just found this photo. I added these birds back here. I added these bushes and rocks, and I kind of blended them into the photo. And I put this like steam coming out of his mouth because he's growling. So that's what I did there. So that's how I organize the images. So now I'm going to make Amber a token. So if you will look on the overlay screen, which is up here on the top left, I'm going to go to a website. It is called, what is it, Shell? The token place?
Oh crap. Let me get the.
Roll Advantage token stamp. And this is only one particular resource. You can find your own. There's RP tools you can make tokens with. This is just kind of a down and dirty one. So I am going to drag Amber's photo here, and I might as well, later I'll find one for the pony as well. So for right now, I'm going to find her photo, which is this one here. I drop it into the website. So Roll Advantage token stamp is a good place to go. Yeah, it wasn't, guessing wasn't based on charisma. Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's see. So now I'm on Roll Advantage token stamp. Okay, so here's her thing. I have, or her photo. I had, this is a PNG file. I cut it out of a JPEG and I converted it to PNG. The reason I do that is when you stretch these out, they don't get as distorted as a regular photo would.
Right, you definitely don't want to use a GIF file, however you say it, GIF, because yeah, it gets real pixely looking if you used a
So
GIF
here's
file.
Amber's photo. And then what kind of border would you like? You don't want it too dark. So you want to
Yeah,
leave
I
it
don't
light
want to
brown,
stick with the red, so maybe
white more, like
can
a
we do
gray,
something in green maybe?
light green.
That sounds good.
So whatever it is, it's going to be a really light green. And then the inside, what color do you want that?
There's more than one color?
Background color. We could change the
Oh,
background.
can we make, I think it should be white, right? So, or transparent.
It won't
Does
give
it
you,
make it transparent?
no, nope.
Uh,
There's white.
yeah, let's leave it white.
Okay. So it's off-white color. It's not too bright.
That is fine.
So that's her token, the light green around it. And I'm going to click download. And this goes to my default photo editor, which I absolutely love. It's the cheapest built-in one, no fancy widgets. So I'm going to go ahead and edit it. This one is, wow, it looks a little blurry, but I'm going to do some adjustments to it so you can lighten it or darken it. This case, I think I'm going to darken it just a touch, not very much, just a little bit. Okay. I'm going to add a little more color to it. You can go really bright colored, or it's going to add a little bit more color to it. And then clarity will outline more of the outline, so adds a little bit more clarity to it so you can see more of the detail. And I think that is good. So I'm going to hit save. Now what I'm going to do is right click on here, resize, and I'm going to define the dimensions. Right now it's 256 by 256. That's not a bad dimension, but for tokens, you want around 200 by 200. I think this is fine, but if this is going to be a portrait photo, it would need to be a JPEG, and you only need it to be about 128 by 128. 100 is the recommended size, but I don't want it so tiny where I can't see it either because I have bad eyes. So I'll hit save resized photo. I didn't actually resize it, just showing you this. So now it's asking me to name it. So I'm just going to call it Amber T for token. I usually have my own naming process, so TKN means token. So if I just see the file name, I'll know what it is. So I go ahead and close that. Now, in Fantasy Ground, you have a tokens folder. So let me get rid of the overlay. You don't need that anymore. So now I'm in Fantasy Grounds, and I'm taking this photo, or this token that I made, and adding it to Fantasy Grounds. Now you can go into the directory and add it manually, or you can actually sort of do it here. So what I mean is I'm going to here. I have a folder that's shared. This is a shared folder. If I click shared, it actually brings up a folder. And inside of that shared folder is a directory called PC tokens. Or I can double click here and let me bring up the little screen again for a minute. So I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. So look at the smaller screen. And what I'm doing is I'm just going to where her token is, which is here in my folder directory. And I'm going to drag it to Fantasy Ground. So in Fantasy Ground, I have this token folder up here. And wrong folder. Okay, my file explorer, I'm going to drag this token into this screen. So now Amber is available as a token. And all these other ones were tokens that I had made before using the same website. So now when I want to add or assign a token, I'm going to grab this and drag it up here. So now she has her own token. Then I'm going to take the token and drag it over here, because when I added her initially, it didn't add her token. I didn't have one. Now she has a token. So now if I put her on a battle map, let's do that. I'm going to the library, and I'm going to pick up one of these Rise Falls, I guess, which is a really cool map pack. Go to Images and Maps. These are different maps. I think I'm going to add her to this mountainous one. There we go. And in order to add her here, I need to what, Shell?
To to add. Oh, you're gonna drag her over from the
Yeah.
green helmet at the bottom. Of course, that'll bring the other person too. But that's
Yep. So right now I have her going to drag her over there. So what do I need to do? I have this map and I just brought it up.
first we want to grid the map.
That's right. That's what I was looking for. So you always put the character on the combat tracker first. So from the character selection window, they go to the combat tracker. From the combat tracker, they go on the map. But if I put Amber on there now, it doesn't scale. It'll just be whatever size you leave it at. I'm going to right click and delete the token off the map for now. I'm going to right click.
Super Amber.
Yeah. I'm going to right click on the map, click layers, click set grid. And I know that this will look good around 50 or 60. So let's see. There's 50, there's 60. Just so we can see a little better. So now it actually has a grid on it. So if you go out there and buy maps, try to find ones that don't already have the grids on them. Makes it so much easier. So now when I drag her over, she'll scale down to the grid size. So there's her token. If I want to bring up her character sheet, all I have to do is double click on the token. It'll bring up the character sheet. If I accidentally close the map, players do that all the time, then I will double click on her token, not her portrait photo, but the token. And that brings up the map.
Sometimes I'll do that, like when we start a new session, I'll say, now, where were we last time? And I'll just double click my thing,
Right.
my token,
There
and
you
bring
go.
up the last map that we were.
Right. So I'm just going to add a generic photo that I use for all Lady Shell's pictures. If I can find her. Is she here? There we go. So this
You
is
mean
her.
the mad one?
Yeah, so
Oh,
this is
no.
her portrait photo, and this is her token. So if you wanted to get rid of this token or you don't like it, you could actually drag this over and it would switch it out. But I think we like the token. So now drag her on here. She's ready to go. So I'm going to get rid of this Daedra Darkstalker for now. All right, so now we have Lady Shell on the map. I think I'm going to bring over some undead. So we're
I
going to,
am not afraid of undead.
so let's just say that you were exploring this mountainous area and you found a little grave area where it may have been fallen soldiers or something left over from a battle, who knows. So I'm going to make an encounter. So the encounter is going to be undead. So I'm going to make it kind of a mixed bag of undead, so this isn't just one type. Maybe one zombie and a couple skeletons or something. So I'm going to bring up the encounters, and I'm going to make my own encounter. I'm going to click Edit, click the plus button, and we'll just call this Undead Ambush. Not really an ambush, because they don't really hang and wait for people. We'll just say Undead Disturbed.
They will be disturbed
And
when
then
I
I'm
get a
going
hold of.
to look, I got to unfilter this to all. I'm going to look for skeletons. Okay, so here's the skeleton. This is from the monster manual. Ooh, that already has a nice looking token. And then I'm going to grab a zombie. Just one zombie. They're pretty tough. All right, so there's the zombie, and there's the skeletons. Now I'm going to change the skeleton to 2. So now there's 2 of them. Now I'm going to hit the refresh. That refreshes the CR challenge rating as a CR1 worth 150 XP. Pretty tough challenge, but not too bad. I'm going to lock it. And now that I have the encounter built, I think I want to change the tokens. I want to use my own. This one isn't too bad, this 3-dimensional one. So I'll probably leave that one. But this zombie one is just a pog with a picture. So I want to change this to my own unique photo. So I'm going to open up tokens. And I'm going to search for zombie. I already have a bunch of collections here. Well, what do you know? There's one here. Let me expand this out so you can see them better. There's a goblin zombie. And then here's these regular zombies. I think I'll use these frozen zombies. There's one frozen one. So I replace this one with this one. So this is a temporary replacement. This doesn't change the original stat block. This changes for the encounter. So I'm going to lock it. Now I'm going to put this on the map. Another thing I'm going to do to make it easier is link the map to the hotkeys. So if I accidentally close it, there we go. So we're just going to say that Amber is la-di-da, exploring around. I'm going to lock this token. I'm going to actually have her start over here instead of where the zombies are. The zombies can be placed ahead of time. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Or the undead, I should say. So basically what happens if she goes in here, the skeletons form. So one of them will show up here. One of them will show up here. And then the zombie itself will be against this wall. So it'll be a rotting carcass or something. And then these two will kind of guard the entrance and the exit. So it'd be hard to get through here. So they're not there now. They're kind of in the dirt. So once I close this, they'll disappear. So Lady Shell is going to move in here. So I'm going to right click on her token. And this time I'm going to click on lock tokens. So this will lock everybody's tokens. As the DM, if you want to see how far she moves, but she can move 25 feet, I'm going to go ahead. She leaves her pony there, by the way. And then she's going to move 10 feet, 5 feet this way. And then she's going to move the rest of the way. There's her 25 feet. So if I click the middle mouse button, it'll move it. Now, I had to hold down shift as a DM. Players, you don't have to. DM, you have to hold down the shift button to get that line. Otherwise, you can just freely move it as the host. So now she's kind of looking around, doesn't see anything, decides to move over here. She's going to cut through and stop right about there. So she's at this crossroads. She's not sure which way to go. So she talks to her DM, says, I want to check perception check. I'm going to go to her skills tab, and I'm going to have her roll perception. So the number to beat to perceive this threat here would be like a 15 or higher. So she's basically, if she senses danger, she won't have a surprise attack on her. So I'm going to go ahead and persuasion. Or not persuasion, but perception. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that in the dice tower. Ah, what do you know? She rolled a 15 plus 18 plus 3, so she got an 18. So she walks over here and says, something's not right.
Probably smell it too.
Yeah, it probably smells the rotting corpses. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the encounter. I'm going to hit the down arrow. And as soon as she walks over there, they start forming and they pop up out of the soil. So I'm going to go ahead and make them all visible. They're not hidden. And now she can see them. So now initiative is going to start. So I'm going to go to menu and initiative. And I'm just going to roll for the NPCs for right now. So the NPCs go on 17, 16, and 8. And now on Amber's sheet, I'm going to have her roll initiative. And she rolls a 15 total. So she goes almost last, but not quite. The skeleton number 1 goes first. He's right there. And he instantly formed like right in front of her face. So he has a short sword, a short bow. He's going to use his melee attack. He only gets one attack with the short sword. So he swings wildly at her. And he rolls a 1. What do you know? So he loses his turn, drops his weapon, and he's done. So that was a failed attempt. I think his arm or his fingers broke off or something as he swung the blade. So that's his turn. Something weird happened. Zombie kind of gets up and starts going, ugh. So he has this undead fortitude. So if he gets reduced to 0 hit points, he can make a con check. And instead, if he makes it, unless the damage is some radiant damage, he can drop to 1 hit point instead. So keep that in mind. So he's going to move here. He can only move 20 feet. So he's moved 10. And now he's moving in the direction of Hannah. Or, excuse me, Amber. That's his turn. So what does Amber do?
Well, naturally, since she sees undead in here, she's gonna cast, what do you call it? Remove undead. What's it called? What's this?
Turn undead.
My turn undead. That's
Turn
the
undead.
word I was thinking of. I'm gonna turn undead. I'm gonna bring up my holy symbol and I'm going to cast my turn undead, which affects anything within 30 feet that can see or hear me. So I can even get people around the corner of which, yeah,
So
there's somebody in the
she
back,
has to
but
finish a short or long rest to use this again. So I'm going to check that. So I'm going to go to preparation. And if you go up here, this turn undead should be changed to rest. That way, if she does a short rest, she can also do this again. So that's channel divinity.
I think I've always been using it on long rest. I guess I need to make sure
And
and
this
get my
one,
rules right.
yeah. So this is still in action. This would be the same thing because it's part of your channel divinity. But I will put it on rest. There we go. So now I'm going to go back to standard and actions. Okay. So she's going to use channel divinity. She has multiple targets. They have to be in a 30-foot area or whatever it says. So here it says up to 30 feet, and she has to be able to see them so she can see all of them.
No, it's as if they can see or hear you.
Yeah, so she can see or hear them. If I right click on here, click on pointers, click on draw circle. Now I can draw this 30-foot diameter circle. So she can get all of them in this round. So now, with that in mind, as a player, I'm going to hold down the right control key, click on each one of the undead, which targets them. So if you look over here, it says target skeleton 2, skeleton 1, and zombie. So now that way I don't have to do each individual. So now what I'm going to do is cast the saving throw. This forces the saving throw again for all these creatures. So now it tells me who succeeded, who failed. So let's see. We had a success, we had a fail, and we had a success. So skeleton number 1 failed.
Boy, I got bad luck.
The skeleton number 1 is this one back here. So what he'll do on his turn is he'll move away. So Lady Shell did that. She could move, but not too much further. She can't move away unless she wants an opportunity attack. But she still has a bonus action. So if she wanted to do a bonus action, she could do so. So you have spiritual weapon, and I don't know what else.
Yeah, but knowing that if you hit something that has been turned, so the only one that's turned is the zombie in the back?
Yes.
Okay. So the two in front of me are still going to be attacking me. I'm going to work on one at a time because because of the narrowness of this thing, I don't think that the one behind is going to be able to reach me until the first one is gone. So I'm going to attack the one right in front of me first with my
Okay.
warhammer.
All right. Well, you've already casted the channel
Oh,
divinity.
okay.
You only have a
That's
bonus
right.
action.
Bonus action. I can't remember what the only bonus
Healing
action I
word
believe that I have.
and
Yeah, well, I
spiritual weapon.
don't need the healing word. Okay, let me do spiritual weapon and place it behind the skeleton or whatever that's in front of me, in between the. It's hard to describe where I'm talking about.
Right here.
Behind. Okay, I've got to wait for the stream to catch
Behind this
up.
first skeleton number 2.
Yeah, it's like in a it would be able to hit both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm gonna place it there, and I'm gonna cast spiritual weapon,
okay.
which will do if wait, does this thing have radiant damage? It doesn't, right? It's just a sword.
Yeah, it's
Or
just a
does it?
weapon.
It's a spectral weapon.
It's force.
Oh, force. Darn. Spiritual weapon. Why couldn't you be radiant damage? Okay, so I'm going to have the spiritual weapon attack the one that is directly in front of me.
Okay. So as a bonus action, she casts the spell. Now, is that a first level spell?
Yes, I'm casting it
Okay.
first level.
Okay, so I checked off one of the first level
Oh,
slots.
excuse me. It is a second level spell.
Okay.
It's part of my bonus,
right.
not bonus, my domain.
Right, but it still counts as a slot. So you are going to attack the skeleton with the hammer. So this little circle is going to represent the location of the spiritual weapon. Some DMs have tokens and stuff. I'm just going to use this. So let's go ahead and do that. So basically, the spiritual weapon has a cast feature, which is an attack. And it hit on a 24, so it did a very good job.
Thank you, spiritual weapon.
And I put the effect of spiritual weapon on you just so you remember you have it. And then I'm going to go ahead and drop this on the skeleton. Ooh, heavy damage. 11 points of damage that thing did. So that was awesome. It did the maximum amount of damage it could possibly do. So it hurt that skeleton pretty bad. It only has a couple hit points left. So it knocked it from behind and like shattered its rib cage. It's like all rickety. One of its arms is missing. It's all jacked up. Skeleton number 1 is leaving the scene. So it's out of there. Skeleton 2 is basically doesn't have its blade, so it either has to pick it up or use what it has. Well, it doesn't have 2 hands to use the short bow. So I'm going to make an attack with the short blade, but if it does any damage, it's only going to be 1 point because it's an improvised weapon. So it's just going to basically hit you with its bony appendage. So it goes towards Lady Shell with a weaponless hand, and it missed. So it really did nothing. It just swung without
Thank you,
prejudice.
chainmail.
Zombie cannot go anywhere unless it forces its way through the skeleton. So it is going to do that, but it costs it movement. So yeah, it can only move 10 feet. That's where it moved. Now it can move through the spiritual hammer to a point, but it did not get an attack of opportunity because it stayed within. But if it had gone all the way around, Lady Shell would have been able to get a free attack on it. But in this case, just forced its way past the skeleton, probably almost knocked it over. And that's its turn for movement. And now it has this slam attack. So it takes both its arms and flails them towards you and tries to attack you. So both arms go smack, smack against your chainmail. You can feel the chain biting into your skin from the force of that slam. So it jars you a little bit. You get a total of 2 points of damage, just enough to make you angry. And now it is your turn.
Okay, I'm going to use the spiritual weapon on the same one that I had targeted before, the one on the right.
Mm-hmm.
And then for my bonus action, I will
That is
heal
your bonus
myself.
action.
Oh, that is a bonus action. I thought the bonus action was when you moved it.
No, it's a bonus action
to use it.
To use
Okay.
You can move it or attack or both.
Okay, that'll be my bonus action, and then I will attack the one on the left with my warhammer after I.
You mean the zombie?
Yeah, zombie.
Okay. So here goes the spiritual hammer. Let's see if it finishes off the skeleton. The one that's all mangled. Spiritual weapon. Oh yeah. It's rolling good today. And whammo. So this thing is dying. It's disintegrated into dust. It's fallen down into a heap of bones again. So it is gone. So just in a cloud of smoke and dust and fragments, that thing is gone. Now, Lady Shell is electing to swing with her hammer. So here's her warhammer. I'm going to drop it on the zombie. You connected with a total of 20. Wasn't a natural 20, but it's still a good roll. And it is going to do... Nice. 5 points of damage to the zombie. So that wounded it pretty well. You can hear it go, ugh. The hammer basically just thudded into it, and it just hit that nasty flesh. You can smell the decay off this thing. It's gross. All this nasty brownish, red, brown, black pus came out of it. It was gross. Anyhow, so that is your turn. You can also move a little if you want, or you can stay put.
No, I'm not moving. I'll get an opportunity attack.
Well, you can move
well, I mean,
to the side.
Yeah, I can move to the right.
But then you kind of block the hammer. So
I'm just leaving, staying
Okay. Skeleton number 2, I'm just going to make it go off the map. I'm tired of it. So it's not in the picture anymore.
That was the one that was turned, right?
Mm-hmm. It's just taken off. The next is the zombie. So again, it raises its arms up, and hopefully you raise your shield up in time. And it does a slam attack. So and it missed. So you raised your shield this time to block that slam. You were bracing for it this time. So it basically it was deterred, or you blocked its attack. Okay, Amber, it's your turn now.
I will use Sacred Flame on the zombie.
Okay.
That's cantrip. Does
Right.
radiant damage.
Okay.
And I, yeah, hold up my holy symbol and said, "Be gone, zombie, you evil thing." Remember, I'm part of that order of the what you call it.
So what are you
order.
doing? Guiding bolt or sacred
I
flame?
am using Sacred Flame, which
Okay.
is a cantrip,
Cool.
and it does radiant damage.
All
And they
right.
have to succeed on a Is it
DC.
Dex?
Yep.
Is it a Dex?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they don't have a good deck. It failed. So now the damage. And you did 4 points of radiant damage to it. So that hurt it. Now, anything else? You want to do your spiritual hammer?
Yeah, I'll use the spiritual hammer as my bonus action and try and hit it again because the spiritual hammer's been rocking the battle here.
This time, it still hit. The zombie was so slow that it couldn't do anything to prevent from being. It's basically hit it on its shoulder from behind. And now the spiritual hammer. 7 points of damage. So that zombie is looking pretty punchy. He's got all these big gashes and caved in sections on its body. So the force from that thing, the magic, is taking him out. Anything
Okay, I
else?
end my turn.
Okay. Zombie goes. He's not really changing. He's not smart enough to run. So he again tries to slam you. A futile attempt with that robust shield and heavy armor you have misses. So you raise your shield and they just kind of bounce off the shield harmlessly. So you're able to deflect the blow and redirect it. So that is it, the gist of his turn. Now it's back to you.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm rinse and repeat. I'm going to do the sacred flame to start and then let the spiritual hammer do its thing. Hopefully hit again.
This time he succeeded. So for some reason, he probably sidestepped your sacred flame and it was unsuccessful. However, you were able to direct your spiritual hammer and it was able to connect again. And you did a total of 7 points of damage. So that really hurt with that hammer. So again, it's just going to rinse and repeat his movements. This time it does it out of pure frustration. You can hear, "Arr!" And it hits this time. Kind of bashes into your shield. And I don't know if you've ever experienced like hitting a aluminum baseball bat on something. Have you ever done that and it vibrates your hands, kind of hurts?
I can imagine. I never really played baseball, but I can imagine what
Well,
that
if you
would
hit
feel like.
something with a metallic end to it and you don't have any grips or padding, the vibration and the sting of the kinetic energy from it hurts. So when it hit your shield, it hit so hard that the ring and the vibration vibrated your bones in your hand. So that's how hard it hit that shield. So that's that. So it's your turn now. You've taken quite a bit of damage overall. You're starting to feel a little tired. I feel a little woozy. You're about halfway done with your hit points.
Okay, I'm going to use my Sacred Flame for the first part, and for a bonus action, I'll use Healing Word on my... No, Cure
Healing Word would
Wounds
work.
on my... No, it has to be Healing Word on myself.
Okay. So let's do the... Well, you can't do 2 spells, right?
The one is a cantrip.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Sorry. So, Sacred Flame. He succeeded again. And you are going to use the Healing Word on yourself. So that's good. You got 7 points back. So that's very helpful to you. And what level spell is that first? Healing Word. Yeah. So use a first level slot. Okay. So anything else?
No, I did both my things. I don't have any reactions or anything.
Okay. So now the zombie. So the zombie is still adamant at trying to thump on you with its flailing arms. So it flails and it just keeps flailing and it misses entirely. It doesn't even come near enough to you to even raise your shield. It just kind of wildly swung its arms towards your direction. Now it is your turn.
What is my oh, I can't see how much I'm down. Am I down 6? What am I down?
Mm-hmm.
My hit points.
You're down 8 out of 30.
I'm down 8
out of 30.
Oh, okay. So I'm like lightly wounded or
Mm-hmm.
something. What is
Kind of.
my...
Yeah, lightly wounded
Okay.
would be, yeah.
Okay, Sacred Flame again on a crazy zombie that doesn't know how to give up because it's pretty dumb.
Yep.
And then I'll use the Spiritual Hammer for my bonus action.
So it failed its save this time. It wasn't able to move away from the flames that gout from your hands and your holy symbol. And you happen to watch it fall in crisping flames. You can smell that nasty flesh burning, and it sinks down to the ground and starts to. You can hear it crying in pain as it dies. So it is now.
Doesn't it have that
Hold on now.
fortitude thing?
Yep.
Yeah, there you
So it's still on fire, and it now has 21 wounds, and it's not unconscious, so I have to remove that.
It's just prone.
It's prone, yes. So let me do that. So the conditions are up here on the top where this little running man is. So I'm going to grab prone, and I just dropped it on the zombie temporarily until he tries to get back up. So that was your turn, right?
Yep.
Okay. So just when you thought he died, he ends up kind of rolling towards you, and he kind of stands up partially as part of his action. He doesn't have to move anywhere. So he can still make an attack. He's on fire, so if he hits you, it's going to do 1 extra point of fire damage. So he's going to slam again in his half, kind of attacking you down low. But even with disadvantage, he managed to hit you. So you take 5 points of damage plus an additional 1 point from the heat. So he's on fire, he's smoldering, but he still managed to attack you. That did not feel good.
No,
So he's still there. It's your
not at
turn.
all. He fights dirty,
Mm-hmm.
hitting me below the belt.
Yep. And you're low, but he was
Yeah,
still
I
on the
know.
ground.
Short.
On his way up, he tried to hit you, so he's no longer prone.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna use my sacred flame, and then as my bonus action, I'm gonna try and heal myself again.
Okay.
Level 1.
Yep. So sacred flame. And he failed. So let's see what
Yes.
happens.
Be gone, you evil rat.
And this time, he's gone.
Yay.
So that flame finished him off. Now he's just a big
I
pile of
feel great.
flame and bones and burning flesh. That little gully that you're in is filling fast with the smell of his flesh cooking in these sacred flames.
Heal me too.
Okay. So you want to do cure wounds?
No, I have to do a bonus action.
Okay.
Cure wounds isn't a bonus action. That's a
Nope. You're
regular
gonna do
one,
healing
right?
word. Healing word.
Yeah, healing word, and it does more damage. No, cure wounds does more healing.
Well,
but
you did 9.
Regardless,
so
because I'm a life cleric, I heal really well.
So you got a 9 for your heal, and I am going to give you a short rest. So I go to menu, go to rest, and I'm going to give you a short rest to catch your breath. And during that time, you could use your hit die recovery. So
Yeah.
I will double
How many
click that.
down am I? It's hard to
5.
see the little number.
You're down 5.
Sure. I might as well get back to
So you're at 0
back
now.
to full.
No
Hopefully
damage.
at full.
Yep.
Okay.
It rolled at an 8. So there you go. So you are now fully healed. You go into that little valley and you find out that this was the grisly site of an old battle. And you find tatters of some old uniforms in here. So I'm gonna have.
You mean I went in that cave even with that awful smell?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of settled down
I hope
by
I
then.
put a. I'm gonna say I put a like a not a bandage, like a scarf or something over my nose so I didn't smell it quite.
Yeah, and you went in there and blessed the area and consecrated the ground so that they can no longer rise again. And
holy water comes in handy, although I don't think that Amber has any
you probably
holy
said
water
a
on
prayer
her.
over this area.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could
And you're
do
checking, what's going, like what happened here. And from what you can tell, you find little tatters of uniforms and old broken weapons and a bunch of bones, and most of the bones have been picked clean. This zombie may have came later, from what you can tell. So perhaps this person had come to loot the bodies, and it was attacked by the skeletons. And in that, in that manner, that one died in this unconsecrated area, and he died at the hands of the skeletons. So he became a zombie.
Should I worry about the skeleton that left? Because I don't know for sure. I mean, I know you told me he left the map, but
if he comes back,
probably should look.
If he comes back, he won't be welcome. He'll have to keep wandering around.
because it's like holy now in here.
Yep. So he's probably wandering around and eventually fall off a cliff or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
Or something else will attack it. Maybe there's a big, huge, dire wolf that's looking for a bone. We'll take him and attack him and take his bones.
Fetch.
So anyhow, getting real here. That is basically how a little test combat can go. Like when you're testing your players out, It's a good way to check them, make sure they're working right. Also, I can add this to her story. So we can say that this adventure took place along her way from Adbar to Silvery Moon. So maybe she had this little side quest that had occurred along the way, and this builds up her familiarity with her character. So that is basically that. And then you didn't really find any treasure, but you did find broken weapons. And I want you to roll a history check. So I'm going to do that for you to identify the tattered uniforms. So I'm going to take this history, drop it in the dice tower.
So you mean I can tell like
Mm-hmm.
whose
Yeah, whose uniforms.
uniforms they were?
So
Okay,
there,
that would be
you
good.
didn't roll too high, but you knew enough to know that it was a uniform of some soldiers from the local area. So whoever these people were from the area. So
Does that include the zombie?
the zombie did not have clothing that you can recognize, and now that it's burnt up, you really don't know. The skeletons had tattered uniforms that are laying around on the soil, and from what you can tell, they look like soldiers from the local area. So they don't look like they were bandits or the Zentarum or something like that. They really look like perhaps some of the local militia. You may want to report these bodies next time you get to a station or some sort of place where there's guards.
Sounds good.
So there you go. So that is how you put some life into your characters. Um, once she's done, if I was to put her on the party sheet, which I can do that. Right now, there's a bunch of people I don't know on here. So I put Amber on the party sheet. And then I go to the XP area. And for this little combat, I pull up the encounter, drag this into the encounters area, and click award. So now she got 150 XP for that battle.
Not bad since one of them ran away.
Yeah, you still get the encounter because you turned it, and it played out. It wasn't like you just ran away from it. So you got extra 150 XP for that encounter. So is there any questions in the chat, or is anyone left?
We still have four people watching,
Okay.
apparently.
Can
Anybody
you
have any questions?
put up your contest details again? So we're having a
Sure thing.
contest. We're having a contest for an ultimate license. If you haven't entered already, Lady Shell is going to put a link up that will take you to our blog, which takes you to a contest. So what that does is it prompts you to add your comments about what we should be streaming. So this would give you the chance to help us figure out which content we should be focusing on, and then also to follow our social medias and our different channels and such. So when you're on there, there is a place where you can vote for which type of content you would like to see. And then the other links are just for our social media, Twitter, Twitch, all that stuff. And once the contest is over, which is tonight around midnight Pacific Standard Time, we'll let you know tomorrow who wins. And we will need to know what your user ID or your username is for the actual Fantasy Grounds forums. So if you don't have an account at fantasygrounds.com, go there, create an account, which is a forums account, and we need your username. so that we can gift the license to you. If you already have a license, please give us the name of the person, their username, as to whom you want to gift it to. Either way, we need a username, not email address, not your Discord name. We need to know your fantasygrounds.com forums ID. That's how we gift the gift. We only have a few more days, so if you drag your feet too long, we're going to have to talk to someone else about it. So we don't have 2 weeks or whatever. We have to give it away within a few more days.
I actually haven't bought it yet, so
Okay. Well, we have a
I'm
few.
fine.
You only have about
Hmm.
5 or 6 days before it
Yeah,
turns.
I mean, we don't want to wait a month or something for someone
No,
to get back to us.
no,
Also, TR Kinske has a question, wants to know, does it matter if you use standard array or 27 point?
no, not really. It's up to your DM. What I see happens though on a 27 point buy is you'll have like 3 16s and then the rest of them are 9s and 10s. So that's usually what happens on the point buy. The standard array is based on the point buy, but it is a evenly matched up area to where you have a good standard array. That's why they call it that, because you are utilizing the numbers as evenly as possible and as potently as possible. So the standard array is about the best evenly distributed points you can get. But with the standard array, you can grab yourself a 16 or a 17, but then all your other stats suffer. So just remember that when you're using the point buy. So it's up to your DM. Some people use the 4d6 method. Like for instance, I can take a 4-sided or 6-sided, right click on it, pick 4, put that down in the hotkeys, and use that as the macro. So if I roll, oh look, I got a 17, but I'm going to have to drop the lowest number. So I would add 15 to my character sheet, wherever I wanted to put it. So I'll roll again. This time I have a 12, so that's going to be an 11 if I drop the lowest. Ooh, 20. Unfortunately, that would be a 17 because I have to drop the 3.
Yeah, the 46 method is either feast or famine. I mean, you could
Mm.
get a really good roll,
So
but
here's
you
a
could also end
15.
up with an 8 or something.
So here's a 15. It's 17 minus 2. So there's 4 stats. There's your 8. So there's a 7. And then here's another 16. That's a pretty damn good roll system there. So if that was the case, I would bring my notes out and I would notate this. So 7, 15, 17, 11, 15, and a 16. So that's not too shabby. Honestly, I would stick that 7 where you know that your racial trait is gonna boost it up. It'll become a 9, which is livable. And the rest of the stats, place them strategically where you'd want them. Or make a dump stat. So that's another way you can do it. Depends on your dungeon master or how you want to roll for those. So any other questions?
Nothing right now.
Okay. So again, we're having that contest, and we're trying to show you how to bring some life into your character, how you test it, how you're going to fit it into your setting, what some of the stuff means on the character sheet. So, and we went over tokens and artwork and all that good stuff. So this is Amber Frostbeard of Citadel Adbar, and her character looks kind of like, let's see, I have the token here. So I made her with her pony. So this is her, kind of her image, the homage of her character. And that's what we got.
I think she's going to be a good character. I also want to mention that we are also having on February 2nd, we're going to be having a Mappers, we call it Mappers Delight 2, which is the second one that we've done, and we're going to be interviewing some cartographers. If you are a cartographer or if you know of a cartographer that you think might be interested in participating in our event, please send them to this page that I just put in the chat, and we're always happy to add any additional people. Basically, it will show off your work. We'll be talking to you and see how you became a cartographer or what your interests are, and that's pretty much all I got to say about that.
Okay, so I'm going to do /save.
Very important to do that. We don't
And
want
that
to lose
saves,
stuff.
that saves my work. And then I'm going to go ahead and exit from Fantasy Grounds by right-clicking, click Exit Program, and return to Launcher. That is the correct way to exit Fantasy Grounds. So that'll be the end of the stream. Thanks for joining us. We will put this up on YouTube. See you guys later. See you. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.